What is the probability of a real 4546b? 4546b, the infamous ocean planet of the Subnautica series. This planet is filled with passive and threatening life forms that, while drawing inspiration from real life, are beyond anything in reason. Or are they? The universe, being a large, large space, contains many places where human eyes have not discovered. So is it possible for the planet with the same features as the one in this amazing open-world survival game exists? Let's see. First, some rules. There's no way for a planet that is the exact same as 4546b to exist. It's not impossible mathematically, but in probability, the likelihood is less than 0. Next, the geography. While we don't see much of 4546b in its two games, it's shown that we do know there is an Arctic zone, a geological zone built on top of a crater, along with the dead zone, an area containing nothing but microscopic plankton and ghost leviathans. We will allow for these zones, but we won't go into specifics for their geography. Finally, the life forms. We will be looking for the probability of animals most likely to evolve and survive based on what we know about real-life marine animals and the information about the planet. Now that we know our parameters, we can begin. First, can a planet like this exist? Well, it's not unlikely. Our own Earth was at one point practically made up of water, with small areas of land in some places. So this part is not as far-fetched as one might first think. But we have to check specifics now. First, this crater. It's a guyot, a flat and dormant undersea volcano. There are some of these in our planet, but nowhere near as large as the one in Subnautica. It is still not out of the realm of possibility, however, as any kind of volcano could have formed to create this size of a guyot. The Arctic zone is a bit harder to check, but it is still doable. The frozen zone of Subnautica shares many similarities to the Arctic zone, but also to the moon of Europa. With both of these examples, the only unlikely thing about the Arctic zone is that it is located at the equator, an area typically warmest. However, perhaps the placement of Subnautica's two suns, which are visible from above, have something to do with this oddity. And last on this geographic tour is the dead zone. This is an area filled with microscopic plankton and gigantic leviathans that can consume these planktons. Let's ignore the leviathans for a second and focus on the microscopic plankton. There is actually nowhere on Earth that is like this, surprisingly. It's not impossible for this to exist, but I truly find it highly unlikely. It may be because no animals other than the plankton and leviathans have been encountered and thus recorded, as a lot of these deep-dwelling animals are ones that walk instead of swim, such as the yeti crab, the giant isopods, and that's basically it other than some crabs. I find it highly unlikely that no other fish or at least some kinds of shrimp-like creatures don't call the dead zone their home. I would say out of all of these, the dead zone makes the less sense and is not as possible as the other two. Finally, the life forms of this oddly specific planet. I won't go through every animal, but I will review the information on most of them and judge if it is possible for them to exist in the way they do. Number 1. The peeper. The peeper is a small fish. It has one large, bright yellow eyeball that it can hide with its eyelids. The peeper is said to be relatively intelligent, and it has developed eyelids to hide itself from predators. It has a caudal fin, which explains its extreme bursts of speed, and its PDA entry says that it uses its beak to break down coral and tough vegetation like the parrotfish. It has tubes that are connected to its stomach and gills. These tubes allow the peeper to expel the contents of these areas as it demands. While the PDA says reasons are unknown, it may be similar to the Nautilus's ability to suck water in and expel it back out. However, the usefulness for an animal like the peeper is unknown. Overall, the peeper is not impossible, except for its bright-colored eye, which as far as I can tell, serves no purpose. While the eyelids have helped minimize the predators being able to find it, I fail to see beyond an easy way for players at night to find a snack, why a fish would have an eye like this. The stalker, the bone shark, and the sand shark. I put these all together because these are simple animals and most of them have the name shark. The stalker seems to be a mixture of a barracuda and a crocodilian, based on its mouth resembling a crocodilian, specifically the gharial, and its behavior such as the barracuda. This includes being attracted to metal and the particular shape of its body resembling that of a barracuda. The bone shark is almost identical in its in-game description to the extinct armored fish, such as Dunkleosteus, with the only difference being the tail fin resembling a whale's or dolphin's rather than that of a shark's. The sand shark's behavior resembles the wobbegong shark, which buries itself in sand and surprises its prey. Finally, the Reaper Leviathan, arguably the most memorable creature in Subnautica. It has a very unique design that would surely make it impossible for it to exist naturally, no? Perhaps not. In its PDA log, it is said that it relies on sonar to see, similarly to whales, but even stronger, as its roars can travel incredible distances. Its body resembles an ancient predatory whale, the Basilosaurus. Its tail ends in 4 caudal fins. It has 2 pectoral fins, 2 dorsal fins, 2 ventral fins, and all of them are covered in a red color, resembling the real-life oarfish. On its head, there is a horn, which is used to deal damage to its prey by ramming its head, much like sperm whales do with their thick skulls. The hardest part is its mandibles, which it uses to grab things, like an ant. It is never seen using these mandibles, however, on anything other than the player or their vehicles. However, this is most likely a game decision, as in the PDA it says that the Reaper Leviathan does indeed use its mandibles to grab other animals. So in conclusion, I would say that it is not entirely impossible that 4546b could indeed exist somewhere. While some parts are more likely to exist, such as the dead zone, only containing microplankton and filter-feeding leviathans, it is still not 100% impossible. Therefore, I wouldn't say that it does exist, but the probability of it being a reality is very likely. Thank you for watching. Consider sharing this video, and please subscribe.